Hey everyone, this is the DevOps for Mobile Apps update from March 23rd, 2022. And on my screen here, you'll see the update issue. So in this issue, I've got kind of the notes for this update and some links to some of the things I'm going to talk about. I'm going to link this issue in the YouTube description below, so you can get to it there. But other than that, I'll just jump right into it. So first things first on the notes here, I've created a new mailing list. So I have talked to some folks that haven't been able to keep up with the recorded updates or just kind of want a different way to do it. So I'm going to try this out. There's a link right here, and you can click in there and just throw down your email address, and then you'll get some emails when I send those out. Haven't decided what cadence we'll do that at yet, but that's just a way to kind of get updated there. So the next section here is just about the weekly sync update experiment. So this is what we're doing today. We're doing a sync update, and we'll put it on the calendar and put it out for folks to participate, and then we'll put the recording up on YouTube when it's done. So that's kind of all the housekeeping notes. So much of this week has been focused on the secure files feature and kind of getting that ready for production. So the first issue here is this readiness review, which is this process that I'm going through with infrastructure to kind of review the feature, review the potential infrastructure impact of it, and be able to kind of make sure that we're pushing out something that's going to be stable when we release it. So there's a lot of discussion in there, but I kind of link that there for anyone that wants to kind of follow along. And then the next link here is the secure files MVC issue. So this is kind of something I've been talking about each week. This is kind of the big set of work that needs to be done to get the secure files feature rolled out. So things are moving along nicely. We had a couple MRs merged this week, and so we're just continuing to work through the issues in there. And then the last section here, let's see, actually the upload checksum feature, this was one of the MRs that was merged this week. And I thought I would talk about this for just a second. Basically what this is doing is this is adding a capability to the API. It's an optional capability, but when you go to upload your file, and so this is going to be an Android key store file or a code signing certificate or provisioning profile, whatever these files are, there's an option to add a, so let me find that issue here, add a checksum to the file as you're uploading it. So essentially what this will provide then is the ability to check that the file that you're sending is the file that GitLab receives. And so the user will upload the file, they'll SHA-256, create a SHA-256 checksum off of that file, and they'll send those two things along. And so when we go and store that file on the back end, what we're going to do is we're going to check that and make sure that the file matches. And so you can see kind of in the code here where we're doing that. This is kind of a nice security feature that helps us ensure that we're getting what the user is sending, and there's nothing nefarious happening in between there. This kind of aligns on the download side too then. So when we also have an optional feature on the download that will give you the file, and then we'll also send the checksum of that file. So you can verify that the file that you're receiving in your project is the file that you're expecting. So kind of closes the loop on that. So that was merged just today, actually. And then the last thing here, and I talked about this last week too, is the integration with Fastlane Match. And so there is an issue here for this. So this is to use GitLab secure files as a backend for Fastlane Match. And so I have a working demo of this, and then I've got a branch in the Fastlane project and in my fork that I've been working on here, so you can kind of see how this is all put together. I haven't done a PR yet for this. I'm going to wait till the feature rolls out to production before we do that, just so that the maintainers of Fastlane know what this is and can understand what we're doing. So so that's what we're working on there. So then I guess coming up next, the focus is going to be on continuing the readiness review. And then out of the readiness review, there was a nice discussion about potentially changing our file encryption process. And so there's an issue here. And I'm going to work through that this week and potentially make a change there. It shouldn't be too major, but it was kind of a nice discussion and a nice find there. So that's what is going on this week. Any questions from anyone?
This is a really good overview, and I love to see that the secure files is the direction we're going. Speaking from customers specifically, kind of on the mobile and working with competitors, that's certainly a gap we have. With those secure files, how is that injected into the pipeline today? Is there a variable exposed, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So in the let me see, where do I have this? So right now there is just kind of a simple integration. I guess we could get to it this way here. So there's just this little Ruby script that I kind of created to go to the API and fetch the files and download them. And it's packaged up in a way that makes it actually really easy to add to a CI job. So if you just copy this one-liner here, this will go download the files and put them into a folder in the project. You can configure the folder that they go into if you want, but that's sort of like the quick MVC. In the future, I'd like to have a more kind of robust integration with GitLab Runner to make it easier to sort of like choose which files go where or which jobs they might go to. That's kind of, I don't know, future thinking about what that might look like. But this is for the first iteration, it's just going to be this this one-liner.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense for an MVC. From a permission standpoint, oftentimes, especially with like those signatures, those who own the signing keys, they're very protective on who has access to those. Will we be allowing just owner permissions on that API, or what are your thoughts there?
So yeah, good question. So the way that it's set up right now is, I'm trying to remember, the maintainer access can upload and delete, and then you need developer access to be able to download the files, run the pipelines, and that sort of thing. So that's the way it's set up today. We could certainly like come up with different permissions for that. But you know, I guess for the CI pipelines to be able to work, we need developers to be able to read them. Yeah, that's
the same kind
of how it's set up. Yeah.
The same kind of idea we have for regular variables could be applied, like a protected secure file that is only available on protected branches, protected tags, probably is going to be requested pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's a lot of parallels there that we could borrow from.
From the maintenance on the back, I think you kind of skimmed a little bit on there, and for storing these files, is this going to be a new object storage location or file path for those who are managing an instance?
Yeah, so the way it's set up, it can either use like the local file storage or object storage. And so the way we would roll that out on GitLab.com would be to use object storage. And then the files there, as they're uploaded, they're encrypted before they're, or like when they're saved to the file storage. So they're encrypted at rest.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks for the questions. If there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. Thanks for joining today.